Eskom's problems don't seem to be going away. The utility is currently implementing stage 4 blackouts. It's been battling a diesel shortage, which energy expert Chris Yelland predicts will run out in the next 2 weeks or so. Writing in a newsletter for EE Business Intelligence, Yelland shockingly says there is no plan to get South Africa out of darkness. He joins me now to talk a little bit more about this. Chris, good afternoon. Welcome to Today on eNCA. Thank you very much for your time. So the issue now is that because Eskom is relying on the open cycle gas turbines, which chow a lot of diesel, they need more money sooner rather than later. And whatever they have currently will cover them just for a short-term period. So are we in the doldrums?
Yeah, look, towards the end of November, Eskom advised that they run out of money and they were running out of diesel stock, and that they were not going to use their open cycle gas turbines anymore to meet demand during the normal working day. They would just limit it to peaking periods and for dire emergencies. That caused a huge reaction in government, and Eskom somehow miraculously found 1.5 billion rand and procured 50 million litres of diesel from Petro SA. That lasted until the end of December. And again, they suddenly miraculously found another 1.5 billion rand and procured another 50 billion litres from Petro SA. And that's going to last until about the end of January. And they still have to do something about February and March. They have exceeded their budget considerably, and they are scrambling around now with government trying to find money to procure more diesel for February and March. End of March is the end of their financial year, and then the new budget kicks in.
Do they need another 3 billion? I mean, you've mentioned those two amounts of 1.5 in November, 1.5 billion in December to purchase a total of 100 million litres of diesel in those 2 months. For the remaining period where there's no money, there's no budget, how much do they need?
Well, we interviewed Mr. Jan Oberholzer and Mr. Caleb Kasim, that's the COO and the CFO, the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer of Eskom, respectively. And they indicated that they need actually 200 million litres of diesel for February and March. Now, that is much more than in December and January, but remember, December and January are relatively quiet months. This 200 billion litres, sorry, let me get this right in my head, 200 million litres of diesel will cost about 6 billion rand, according to Eskom, according to the Chief Financial Officer and Chief Operating Officer. So there is the shortfall of 6 billion, and the question is, where's it going to come from? Eskom don't have that money. It's impacting their cash flow very, very significantly. They have managed to scrape together 3 billion, that is for December and January, but now there's 6 billion rand needed for February and March.
So they need another 6 billion just to get that diesel for those 2 months before the new financial year kicks in from the beginning of April, Chris. And from then on, will they be okay from April?
Well, then the new budget kicks in, and presumably they get another bailout from government. But they're also pursuing, other avenues to increase their liquidity. And the biggest of these, of course, is the arrear debt of municipal electricity generators, municipal electricity distributors who, between them, these defaulting or outstanding debt is sitting at 50 billion rand at the moment. So if they could get paid just some of that 50 billion rand that is in arrears, that would really be very helpful to Eskom's cash flow. They're also pursuing a claim that they have made to the South African Revenue Service for 3 billion rand as at the 31st of March 2022. That's the end of their previous financial year. According to Eskom, SARS owes Eskom 3 billion rands in levies, what they call fuel rebates. In other words, It's a rebate because the diesel that they use is not used for road transport. It's used for power generation, so they are due a rebate for the fuel levy and for the road levy. So Eskom reckons that 3 billion rand is owed by SARS. That would be very useful. And that is just for the previous financial year. For the current financial year that ends 31st of March 23, they reckon another 2 to 3 billion rand is owed. So they've got a claim against SARS for about 5-6 billion rand, and that would be very helpful. So they are scrambling around looking at these options to try and collect the money.
Yeah, if municipalities would only pay up, many of them owe Eskom a big chunk of money. Chris, did you get an idea from Mr. Kasim, the CFO, where he thinks, besides those, where else does he think the 6 billion rand will come from? Let's say SARS delays in paying that rebate for whatever reason in that process of that assessing exactly how much is a rebate. Let's say no municipality pays any of its current debt. Do they have an idea where else they could go to with a cap in hand?
I think really they're going to have to then rely on government bailout, because they do already get significant government bailouts. And you've got to understand, Eskom is government. NERSA is government. Petro SA is government. Municipalities are government. DMRE is government. DPE, COGTA, National Treasury, they all government, the whole lot of them. This is really a government problem. Government is the sole shareholder of Eskom, and all these departments. SARS is part of government. It's really a matter that government has got to get its act together and make sure that Eskom has got the money to buy diesel. And if they don't, we'll just have very high levels of load shedding.
Thank you very much for your time and explanations this hour here on Today on eNCA. That's energy expert Chris Yelland.